I'm going to discuss reference to the context questions, descriptive or subjective question and answers. This is in accordance with the ICSE specimen sample paper issued by the Council. Question 6. Read the extract given below and answer the questions that follow. Full marks 10 for each reference to the context extract. Some of you have already watched our easy explanation video of 9 gold medals by David Roth. Well, if you have not yet watched that video, kindly check the description box or the comment section for the link, because whatever we will be discussing today in this video is based on what we explained in our easy explanation video. So you need to watch that video as well. Let us begin today's discussion by reading the questions and answers. Subjective or descriptive question answer session. Treasure Trove, a collection of ICSE poems and short stories. This is the first extract that I am going to discuss today. But before that, let me just give you a few tips. Tip number 1, brevity. Write answers briefly. Don't beat around the bush. Second tip, lucidity. Simple, lucid language. Simple English. Number 3, accuracy of grammar, punctuation and spellings. Number 4, write in your own words. Remember this, write in your own words. And number 5, mention the key words in your answer. You will be marked on the way you present your answer, and your answer must include all the key words. Now, as I discuss these question answers, try to understand how I have used the key words. Let's read now the first extract. He gave out a cry of frustration and anguish. His dreams and his efforts dashed in the dirt. But as sure as I am standing here telling the story, now it's a strange one, but here's what occurred. Question number 1, who gave out a cry? Why did he cry? So there are 2 questions. Remember to change paragraphs. If you have one question, no problem. But if you have subparts, change paragraphs. Don't make this mistake. Don't write in a single paragraph. Change paragraphs. Next, the answer now. Who gave out a cry? The youngest of the 9 athletes who started to run the 100 meters race gave out a cry. So a compact answer. The youngest of the 9 athletes. So the keyword, the first keyword is youngest of the 9 athletes, a tick. Who started to run the 100 meters race? The information, the special information about this athlete, he gave out a cry. So this is how you write a compact answer. Next question, why did he cry? Change the paragraph. He cried because he was frustrated and anguished. So if you check the text, you will see that he gave out a cry in frustration and anguish. I have written that in my own words. He cried because he was frustrated, a tick mark, and anguished, another tick mark. 2 keywords in this answer. You will get 2 out of 2. So guaranteed. If you write your answers like this, giving the key words and writing in simple English, no worries at all. Question number 2 now. What were his dreams? What were his frustrations? Again, 2 questions. Question number 2, 2 questions. So change paragraphs. What were his dreams? He dreamt of winning a medal at the Special Olympics. His dream, winning a medal. Key expression, winning a medal. By participating in the final event of the day. What were his frustrations? Why was he so disappointed? What had happened to him? He stumbled, staggered, and fell on his knees to the ground as the race began. Therefore, his dreams of winning the race shattered. These were his frustrations thinking about his rigorous training. So, his frustrations. First, he did not win the race. He had no hope of winning the race. Why? Because he had stumbled, staggered, and he fell on his knees to the ground. Secondly, he had been training for this day for so long, and now that would lead to nothing. He would not be able to win the race. Perhaps he would not be able to finish the race also, because he had fallen down and all the other athletes had progressed. State in your own words what the other 8 runners did. The 8 other runners stopped running, returning to help the youngest contestant to his feet, and together all 9 of them linked arms and walked to the finishing line. So they stopped running, tick, returned to help the youngest contestant. Yes, they returned to help him, the second key expression, and then they helped him to his feet, another key element mentioned, and together all 9 of them linked arms and walked to the finishing line. A well-written answer, and yes, you're going to get 3 marks if you write like this. It's time for question number 4, again carrying 3 marks. There are subparts. What did their action reflect on their attitude? Remember, attitude. How does this bring out the main theme of the poem? These 2 questions are interrelated. So try to frame all the answers in such a way so that you do not repeat anything. Use synonyms and avoid repetitions as far as possible. What did their action reflect on their attitude? The 8 other athletes were helpful, selfless, and compassionate. Their attitude, their action reflected on their true sportsman spirit. Now, I am not packing all my points in one answer, since there are subparts and I need to be really careful so as to avoid repetition. I will use my points judiciously. See, in the first answer, in the first subpart, I have mentioned that they are helpful, selfless, compassionate, and true sportsmen. This celebrates the spirit of care and empathy. What the world needs now is not more competition, but more cooperation, collaboration, and fellow feeling. These differently abled runners exhibit these qualities, highlighting the main theme of David Roth's 9 gold medals. Extract number 2. The loudspeakers called out the names of the runners, the 100 meters, the race to be run, and 9 young athletes stood there determined and poised for the sound of the gun. Question 1. How many participants were there on the starting line? What were they waiting for? There were 9 young, differently abled athletes on the starting line. Young and differently abled, 2 keywords. Next, I have changed the paragraph. What were they waiting for? These participants were waiting for the sound of the gun announcing the start of 100 meters race. For the sound of the gun. So it is clearly mentioned in the extract and poised for the sound of the gun. So I have mentioned that in my answer. Question number 2. What do you think about the runners from this line? And 9 young athletes stood there determined. 9 young athletes stood there determined. The word determined is very, very important. The runners had already taken their positions on the starting line. Yes, stood there. They had already taken their positions on the starting line. They were filled with determination and firm resolution. So, determination and firm resolution. They were concentrating, eagerly waiting for the race to begin so that they could make their long, rigorous training more fruitful with a victory. What encouraged the athletes to run the 100 meters race, and what is the effect of the sound of the gun on them? In order to write this answer, you will have to add your own points. You will have to infer this from the text. The enthusiastic and energetic spectators who were cheering for the athletes, the ambience, the loudspeakers calling out their names, encouraged the athletes to run the 100 meters race. Number 1, the spectators who were cheering for the athletes, they were motivating the athletes. Next, the ambience, the whole atmosphere. Number 2, and then the loudspeakers calling out their names encouraged athletes to run the 100 meters race. 3 points. Moreover, the 4th point, strict training, number 4, and the prospect of winning a medal, number 5, encouraged them. So, many things which were motivating the runners, the enthusiastic and energetic spectators who were cheering for the athletes, the ambience, the loudspeakers calling out their names, the whole atmosphere, the vibe. And then the strict training, the long training, and the prospect of winning a medal, everything encouraged these young athletes. They had come to this place to win a medal. This is what a true sportsman does. He trains hard and then he is motivated. He comes to an event, to a sports meet in order to win a medal. This is how things happen. So this answer is very, very easy. You just have to write the answer in your own words. Next, what is the effect of the sound of the gun on them? The sound of the gun mark the beginning of the race. So generally, the sound of the gun mark the beginning of the race, any race. The athletes displayed their agility, strong reflexes, presence of mind as soon as the signal was given. So, as soon as the signal was given, they started to run the race. So, it's a test of their agility, strong reflex, and presence of mind. Remember the determination, the concentration, the eagerness for the pistol to explode. What happened after the pistol exploded? The 9 runners started running, but the youngest among them stumbled, staggered, and he fell on his knees to the ground. So it's a 3 marks question. You may ask me, ma'am, why is this answer so brief? Yes, this is a brief answer, despite the question being a 3 marks question. But just observe, the 9 runners started running. Yes, 1 mark for this. But the youngest among them stumbled, staggered, and he fell on his knees to the ground. Very specific, very precise. You will get 3 out of 3. All round the field, spectators were gathered, cheering on all the young women and men. Then the final event of the day was approaching, the last race about to begin. This is the extract. Why were the people or the field spectators excited? 2 marks for this. The field spectators were excited to come to the Special Olympics and watch the differently abled athletes participating in various sports events. They were eagerly waiting for the final event of the day. So they had come to the sports meet in order to watch the events. Yes? So this is going to be your answer. Next. Question number 2. Who were the young men and women? Who were the young women and men? The young women and men were the various female and male athletes who had come from many countries to run for the gold or the silver or the bronze medals at the Special Olympics. They were differently abled. So, I have mentioned all the key elements. Various female athletes, male athletes, because in the extract it is mentioned women and men. So I'll have to also mention female athletes as well as male athletes. And they had come from many countries. Why had they come here? To run for the medals. And where? The setting, the venue at the Special Olympics. And another important piece of information about them, they were differently abled. 2 marks question, and this is enough. You will get full marks if you write like this. What was the last race about? What was the mood of the spectators here? Mood of the spectators. And what was the last race about? The last race was the 100 meters race. This was the last event of the day. What was the mood of the spectators here? The spectators were in a jovial mood. They were excited and filled with enthusiasm and eagerness. They were cheerful and encouraging the young participants. Question 4. How does the extract bring out the fanfare of the event? The event was grand. The spectators gathered all around the stadium and the place was buzzing with loud cheers and applause. Everyone was cheering and there were many people who had come to the stadium. The word cheering, all the participants, is an auditory imagery that brings out the fanfare of the event and highlights the ambience of the setting. There is visual imagery as well that highlights the fanfare. This is the answer, and you will have to write this answer on your own, in your own words. Dear students, this is the end of today's session, and I will solve more questions in other videos as well. Stay connected, like, share and subscribe to our channel Study English with Momita and Shomi.